Hello, welcome. You're listening to Season 4 of Narcolepsy Navigators, brought to you by Naps for Life CIC. Narcolepsy Navigators is a podcast for raising awareness of these fascinating illnesses through a deep dive into the lives and individuals living with narcolepsy, idiopathic hypersomnia, and Klein-Levin syndrome. I'm Kerry Boga, the founder of Naps for Life CIC, and welcome to our stories. Narcolepsy Navigators is excited to announce our new Patreon and merch store. You can choose to support us monthly via Patreon and receive bonus content from our advocacy and medical series, as well as a shout out on the show. Subscribing to our Patreon will allow you to have access to Narcolepsy Navigators Discord server, where you can chat with other navigators, find support, and ask questions to be featured in future bonus episodes. Higher tier supporters can also receive Patreon merch, or if a monthly subscription is not in your budget, you can check out even more merch on our website, www.napsforlife.com. Hi everyone, welcome to Narcolepsy Navigators. I am Kelly, your host, and today we are talking with Lucas and Kathy from Toronto, Canada, and welcome to his story. So Lucas, how are you?
Good.
That's good. Kathy, how are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm okay. Happy for the holiday break for Easter. Spend some time with the family.
Yeah, absolutely. I hear it's nice. We're all off this weekend, so Lucas and I were able to go out and get a nice walk in today.
Oh, that's nice. Where did you go for the walk?
We live out in the back roads, so we just walked around the back roads on the gravel roads, and we went for about a 4.5-kilometer hike.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Any wildlife out there?
Yeah, we've seen birds and some bugs and Canada geese, of course. And our roads were washed out recently due to weather and different spring torrential downpours and ice storms.
Oh, so it's getting better now, or you can still see the damage?
Definitely can still see the damage. We had over, I think it was 500,000 people without power for over a week.
That's a lot of people.
Yeah, but it's getting better now. We're starting to see sunshine.
That's good. Yeah, spring might be starting soon, hopefully.
Fingers crossed. Yeah.
So, Lucas, how was your day? Good. You enjoyed your walk?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Lucas, can you tell everybody your name, where you live, what town you live in, and how old you are?
I am Lucas. I'm 11 years old, and I live in Sunderland, Ontario.
Sunderland, Ontario. And where is that? What country is that?
Canada.
In Canada. Okay. Yeah, because some people are there from a different country, so they might not know where that is. So that's why. Cool. What sleeping disorder do you have, Lucas?
Narcolepsy.
You have narcolepsy. Type 1 or type 2?
Type 1.
Type 1. And what does it mean to have type 1 as opposed to type 2?
I got my knees away.
Yeah, so if you have type 1, like me, I have type 1, we have cataplexy, and the people who have type 2, they don't have the cataplexy. So how old were you? Do you remember when you had your first cataplexy?
Probably 3 years ago.
3 years ago. Okay. Do you remember what happened that day before you had the feeling?
No.
No. But now when it happens, what usually brings it on?
I'm really tired.
You're really tired. Okay. What about laughing or getting angry or surprised? That as well? And how old were you when you started feeling extra tired or feeling a bit different, and what did that look like?
When I was blind,
and what happened?
I was getting tired all the time.
All the time. Can you give me an example of like somewhere that you were tired that you thought that you shouldn't be tired?
I would fall asleep on the TV.
Is that like a quad bike type of thing? That's quite interesting to fall asleep there, because that's a place where you have lots of energy, like it's bouncing and everything.
Yeah.
I actually once rode a quad bike. I used to volunteer for an extreme teen camp, and after the teens would go, the counselors would stay for a week and we'd get to do the same activities that the teens did. So then we went quad biking, and they have a long list. They ask you to fill out this form, and they ask all these questions, and then you have to sign it to say like if something happened to you that you wouldn't sue the company and whatever. So I signed it and everything, and I went to do it. And when I was coming around one of the bends, I fell asleep for a few seconds and then I crashed into the tree. I fell off the quad bike and it fell just next to me. And I was just so lucky not to get hurt. There was a girl who broke her leg and other people like fell. And my angel was looking after me that day. It fell right next to me.
Wow, it certainly sounds like it.
But you weren't driving year one. Your dad or mum was driving, right? Do you have to be a certain age to drive then, Lucas?
Love 16.
Oh, okay. All right.
He has a smaller ATV that you are allowed to ride around on your property.
Oh,
As ride that around.
okay. Fair enough. But the big ones is for a bigger adult. Okay, fair enough. Can you tell me a little bit about yourself, Lucas? Like your hobbies, things you enjoy. What makes Lucas Lucas?
To play golf, baseball, and bowling.
Oh, wow. Golf. Nice. And bowling. Yeah, bowling is fun. I've never played golf before. That's nice. What else do you like to do? What about your school? What subjects do you like in school?
Math.
Math. Clever boy. That's nice. So what is a typical day like for you with narcolepsy?
I'm normally tired. I get up at 6:30.
That's quite early.
I would have a little nap at school
After you just got there or later on?
later on.
When do you normally clear down from the desk? Whether in the morning or in the afternoon?
Morning.
Okay, so usually not long after you came from home, you have a nap.
Yeah.
And then later on in the day, do they allow you to have another nap at school?
Yeah.
That's good. So the teachers understand that you have narcolepsy and they're kind about it.
Yeah.
What about before you got diagnosed? When you just started feeling sleepy and stuff, were they understanding then as well? Or did they only become understanding after you told them the diagnosis?
A little bit of cold.
A little bit of both. And so after school, when you come home, do you take another nap?
Sometimes.
What about things like PE? Do you do PE at school?
Yeah.
You do the gym?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. And after you do gym, do you feel more tired?
No.
No, that's good. That's really good. How does it make you feel when you're really sleepy at school?
Tired. It feels like that. I want to have a nap.
But how do you feel? Does it make you feel like, because the other children are not taking naps, do you feel any type of way that you have to take a nap?
So
No.
because you feel any different or you're special or anything like that?
No.
No, that's good. What is the hardest part about having narcolepsy and what helps you the most?
Trying to stay awake.
That's the hardest part, trying to stay awake. And what helps you the most? From myself, what helps me at the moment, I'm doing hairdressing at college. So my class will start like at 9:30 and I probably get there at 10. And then when I get there, I'm really tired. And sometimes I don't have the breakfast because if I have breakfast, then I'll feel more tired when I get there. And then I'll almost need to sleep as soon as I get there. Sometimes I don't have the breakfast. So then I'm a bit alert for like the first half. And then we have lunch for like an hour. And then we finish at 3:30, 4 o'clock. So by the time I come home, because I've been standing practically all the day, like maybe I've sat down for lunch for an hour and then sat down another time and had a nap in the corner for half an hour. So when I get home, I have to have a nap for 2 hours. I'm so tired then. So that's what helps me. Having those naps help me. So what helps you? And also taking my medication in the morning and not eating breakfast sometimes, that helps me. So what helps you?
Have a nap sometimes.
Does staying active help you or does
Yeah.
kind of relaxing help you more?
Staying active helps me more
Okay, that's good. How do you stay active?
by playing baseball
By playing baseball.
or playing with my dog.
Playing with your dog. Oh, yeah, that would keep you very active. Dogs have a lot of energy.
Yeah.
What was it like when you first found out you had narcolepsy?
Draw and a little bit tired.
Do you remember going to the hospital and having to do the sleep test?
Yeah.
You want to talk a little bit about that? What that was like? Other people who have never had the sleep test before, what was that like for you to go to the hospital? And did you have to sleep there in the night? What happened?
It felt weird with all the wires on my head.
Tell people the story of what happened when you got to the doctors, what happened, and they put you in the chair.
When I went to Stitchers, the doctor put on the wire on my head.
How did that feel when they were putting in the wire? Weird.
And when I was there, he was super funny.
Oh, the doctor was funny, telling you jokes.
Yeah.
When they put the wires, did they put like a pack, something to hold the wires in front of you?
Yeah.
Did you find it was heavy?
Yes.
Yeah, I found it was heavy as well. I thought maybe they would make a lighter one for children, but no, that's interesting. And then what happened after that?
In fairness, Lucas has had quite a few sleep tests. So I don't know if he knows which one was actually testing him for his narcolepsy. Do you remember when you were having sleep tests and they kept coming in and waking you up and then they'd say, okay, Lucas, no time to sleep. And they shut the TV off and everything. You'd have to go sleep.
No.
He was pretty agitated. They were coming in and waking him up, and then they would say, okay, now it's time to go to sleep again. And he would fall back to sleep within 2 minutes. But by the time they got it to the 5th round, they were like, okay, we're going to stop the test now because he's becoming too agitated.
That's interesting.
Yeah. They have gotten their information at that point, so they aren't completing the test.
Yes, yeah, of course. That's understandable. So, Lucas, that night you slept over. Where was Mum?
Beside me.
Oh, she got to stay. That's nice. So you weren't alone. That's nice. So when they took out the wires, you were very happy to get the wires off, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But how did you feel sleeping that night? Did you have a good night's sleep or what was it like?
No,
Oh, why?
because it was hard to sleep.
Because of the wires?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did it bother you that they had cameras and they were watching you?
Yeah.
Yeah, you didn't like that as well. Yeah. So the next day, they would have done another test where they put you to sleep and then they come in the room and they pull the blinds up and then they wake you up. And then maybe 20 minutes, half an hour later, they come back and then they pull the blinds down and tell you to go back to sleep. Do you remember that one? No, you don't remember that test. Okay. That's the second test that they would have done. Yeah. I found it very annoying because every time they woke me up, I felt like I hadn't slept at all. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like I just went to sleep. Why are you waking me?
Right. And that test that you're referring to, he had that about 3 years ago.
Okay. Do you have a special friend or someone that really supports you?
Bronx.
Bronx.
That's nice. And what does Bronx do to support you?
He knows when I'm tired, and he knows when I'm having a narcolepsy.
Attack?
Yeah.
And he's understanding.
Yeah.
That's nice. It's really good to have a friend like that. It's a very rare thing. I'm so glad you found one so young.
Yeah.
Yeah. Every time you yawn, Lucas, you're making me feel more tired. You're trying to make me yawn with you. You know, Lucas, before I'd started doing this podcast, I didn't realize that we yawn so many times a day. And when I did the podcast, I realized that we yawn a lot. Even in an hour, we yawn quite many times in 1 hour. Oh, but I never noticed it until I did the podcast and I was interviewing people like this and they would yawn. And then I'd realize, oh my gosh, they're yawning so many times. So I never noticed it with myself. Lucas is getting tired now. What do you want to be when you grow up, Lucas?
Probably a MLB, being the MLB.
Can you tell everybody what that is?
Major League Baseball.
Ah, okay. So you can be a famous baseball player. That's very cool. Imagine if you're the first narcolepsy baseball player.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can bring lots of awareness to narcolepsy through playing baseball. That would be very cool.
Yeah.
Do you experience any other symptoms of narcolepsy apart from the cataplexy that happens when you're laughing or you're very tired or you get angry or surprised? Apart from that and the sleeping in the day, lots of being extra tired, do you experience anything else? Anything else happens to you?
No, largely tired.
Have you ever been in bed sleeping and then your eyes are open and you're awake, but you can't get out of the bed?
No.
No, that's not happened to you yet. Yay, good for you. That one is sleep paralysis. Tick that off. What about, have you ever been in the room by yourself or the kitchen or the garage, wherever, just in the house or in the garden by yourself? And then you hear your mum calling you. And then when you go to her, she said she didn't call you.
Yeah.
And anything else similar to that ever happened to you? Like hearing voice, you heard a voice that really wasn't there? Or you felt the dog going past you, but the dog didn't really move?
Yeah.
Okay, those are called hallucinations. And that's a part of narcolepsy as well. What about nightmares? Do you ever get nightmares?
No.
No. Yay, you don't have that one as well. That's good. So what about mood swings? Do you ever, when you're very tired, do you ever get, he's nodding his head, like nodding. Both of them were nodding their head. So yes, that's a yes, Lucas.
Yes.
Okay, so that's also narcolepsy that's doing that to you. So, if anyone ever says to you that you've been a bad boy or whatever, it's not. It's when people don't get enough sleep, the brain starts to shut down and then it has to focus on the really important stuff and it makes flip out. And because all it wants is sleep, it doesn't have time to deal with these little mundane things. So that can make you have a mood switch. So what do you usually do when that happens? Do you have any strategies to help you?
I fall asleep.
Usually go to sleep.
Times when he comes home in the afternoon, if he gets upset with me and his dad, he will literally crash on the couch where he falls back and we just move into an instant sleep for probably 2 to 3 hours.
Ah, that's very interesting. So, Lucas, going forward as you get older and just like the rest of the year, one tip I'd like to give you is if this happens to you when you're out without your parents or anything like that, you just step away and just say, excuse me, I need to step away. And you just step away from the situation and take yourself into a corner. That will help you not to get angry or violent towards the person because sometimes it's hard to regulate your emotions. And obviously you're a child and you shouldn't have to have that pressure. Like as an adult, I know how to regulate it. But as a child, you shouldn't have to have that pressure to do that. So the easiest thing to do is just remove yourself from the situation so that you don't have to deal with it. So, Lucas, is there anything that you'd like to ask me as someone who's had narcolepsy for a very long time?
I'll have short-term memory.
It was documented that he does have short-term memory loss.
So he had this test before he was diagnosed with narcolepsy.
Where he was officially diagnosed with narcolepsy. Yeah. He was, I think that test was at the age of 7 and he was diagnosed at the age of 8.
So how do you deal with your short-term memory loss?
I try to remember.
You try to remember, but do you have any tricks that you use to help you?
Yeah.
You would like to share one with me?
I would do because. I try to remember how to spell it because.
You're right. I know what you're trying to say. So how do you remember the words because? How would you remember how to spell it?
Baby eats candy apples until she explodes.
Oh my goodness, that's a good one.
Right, acronyms for his work at school so that he remembers it.
That's very clever. I like that. I tell you one of mine. I have a whiteboard at home. You know, the ones that they have at school. I have one in my bedroom. I used to have a chalkboard in the kitchen. So whenever something comes into my mind, I write it down really quickly because I will forget. And so then it's on the chalkboard and it's on the whiteboard. So every time I walk past to go to the kitchen or to get something from the fridge, or every time I walk into my bedroom, I see it there. And it's a way of trying to help me remember. And I keep lots of notebooks. I write stuff down all the time in my phone, on paper, always writing it down. I never leave the house without a notebook so that I don't forget things. And I also put alarms on my phone to help me remember things. Otherwise, I will forget. So yeah, maybe you could get mum to get you a whiteboard so you can write stuff down on your whiteboard to help you remember stuff.
He's looking at me because I got notifications on my phone to remember everything. He also, at school, he has quite a bit of extra help to try and remember different things. Still a struggle for sure, but he does have quite a bit of extra help.
That's good. I'm glad that they're giving you the accommodations that you need at school. That's really good. Well, Lucas, thank you for sharing part of your story with us.
You're welcome.
What would you say to a new child who has been recently diagnosed? What words of advice do you have for them?
Try to have some naps.
That's good advice. Take your naps. So, Lucas, I want to ask you, are you on any medication at the moment?
No.
But you have been on medication in the past?
Yeah.
And would you like to go back on medication in the future? No. That's fine. That's fair. There are lots of people who are not on medication and they're using lifestyle changes and habits to manage their illness instead. So you will not be alone if you decide not to go back on medication. All right, Lucas, thanks for coming on Narcolepsy Navigators and sharing a bit of your story. I'm going to talk to Mommy now.
It's interesting to hear his responses because as a parent, your responses are a little different.
Yeah.
for sure.
How an 11-year-old sees and feels their experience is different from how we would see as adults. Knowing the full picture and everything and really understanding what it does to the body and everything, an 11-year-old will see things a lot differently.
Absolutely. And the articulation is so much different when you're trying to describe stuff. We as adults know or tend to know better how to articulate our sentences. And I think there's a lot of repeating there, to be honest.
Yeah. It's difficult to try to explain what your body is feeling.
Yeah.
You don't have the vocabulary for it.
No,
Yeah.
I agree. I definitely believe that here in Canada, we do not know anything. We know very limited about narcolepsy as a whole, and even less as a pediatric narcolepsy. This was diagnosed at the age of 8, and their primary focus is looking at the excessive daytime sleepiness, nothing else. Everything that we've learned about narcolepsy outside of daytime sleepiness has been through peer support like yourself, or a lot of research on the internet. What Lucas is telling you about taking naps and being tired, that's because that's what he's been told. He's never been told about hallucinations. He's never been told about, they don't talk about that to him. They just say, how tired are you? When do you fall asleep?
When it's much more than just his tiredness, it's his brain fog, his memory loss, his mood swings.
Yep. And when I brought up the mood swings to our pediatrician, instead of trying to connect the dots, it's more, well, I think you need to get him to see a psychiatrist.
No, he doesn't need a psychiatrist.
He doesn't need a psychiatrist. That's why I say, as a mom listening to him, like, yes, I agree with everything he's saying, but there's so much more to the conversation than that.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. So let's go back. When Lucas just started having the symptoms, when did you realize that something was up?
Probably around 5 or 6. He would continually fall asleep in the vehicles. And I knew that most kids fell asleep in them, but as he got older, I thought it would start to be less and less. But he was still very much falling asleep in vehicles. Just in a matter of like a 20-minute drive from here to our church, he would fall asleep. Or when we went ATVing or quadding, he would fall asleep on the back of the ATV, and we're going over some pretty intense trail, and he'd be out like a light, bounced around like a rag doll. And then even more so as he got older, 8, 9, 10, he's still having naps. He still comes home and will oftentimes have a 2-hour power nap. And I remember when he was in grade 2, so he might have been 7 or 8, he had dropped to the ground with chest pain. Now, I don't know where the chest pain came from, but he literally, like, his knees went weak and dropped to the ground at school. We can't say for certain what that was from, but the fact that he dropped to the ground and his knees went from under him,
That sounds like he had his first cataplexy attack.
that's where my thought goes as well. Since then, he's kind of developed a little bit more of awareness where he will say to me, Mommy, my knees feel weak. Usually, I find for him, it's normally when he gets upset. When he laughs, like intense laughter, it might become a little bit, but definitely it's those really heightened emotions. Not so like, haha, that's not funny, but like the really intense ones.
Yeah. It's different for every person. Like mine, laughter is the highest for me. Well, I have a friend like Lucas, and getting upset is hers.
Yeah.
That's her trigger. I can get upset and I'll be fine. I'd have to get to a very heightened of upset before it starts to affect me. But I just need to get into a good laugh and I'm out. Yeah. I went probably like 4 or 3 years ago. I had my first cataplexy from surprise. I'd gone all those years from 15 till the other day, and I'm 42, and I hadn't had one incident without surprise. And then I had a surprise and just set me off. I said, oh my God, what's that?
Wow. That must have been a little scary.
Yeah.
Wow, my goodness.
Because if you're so used to having it from one thing, you might not think that something else will trigger it off. But the fact is that cataplexy is triggered by heightened emotion. So it's any emotion. It just depends which one it grabs hold of you.
Right.
Being able to do that. And I guess like Lucas, he also says he gets it when he's tired. And I also get mine if I'm very tired as well.
Yeah.
But just be like, okay, I've asked you multiple times to go to sleep. You're refusing. So I'm going to take you out. And I'm going to do it for you.
Just a little bit back to when we noticed in the middle of a restaurant, even now, he will lay down in the middle of the restaurant in a booth. 12-year-old kids do that.
Yes, that's true.
Right? Like that's not
normal. Yeah.
So to us it is, but there's things that definitely are noticeable for sure.
So when you did notice these things and you went to the doctors, what did they say?
I believe the first time they were checking him for sleep apnea, and that's when he was diagnosed with that. And then they did his SMLT test, and it came back as it was narcolepsy. And they really focused in on the fact that he was falling asleep on an ATV. To them, that was quite concerning. I think that was a big marker.
Yeah.
And then my husband owns a slingshot. It's kind of like a three-wheeled motorcycle kind of ride. And it's very, very low to the ground. So if you were to put your hand out like this, you would touch the ground. When Lucas goes in it, he falls asleep. So his head's literally like from here to there. So that was another indication to them that, okay, these are things generally people don't fall asleep with. And Lucas is also adopted. So we didn't realize at the time when he was diagnosed that there was a hereditary component to it. We still, at this time, don't know who carried the gene, but definitely something in the DNA.
Yes. Because he hasn't had any falls or head trauma
No,
in a baby. Okay, yeah. So he didn't become really sick with any viruses or anything like that.
No.
Usually those are the things that are ways that you get narcolepsy, like some really big virus that you get that can trigger it, or if you've had really bad head trauma or genetics. Yeah.
Worst thing that he ever had was he was hospitalized quite a few times when he was younger, but it was mostly for asthma attacks or respiratory illnesses.
Okay, yeah. So no, those wouldn't be ones that could trigger something like narcolepsy.
Yeah.
So yeah. So once you got your diagnosis, what was the support that they gave you?
To be totally honest, nothing. Other than the fact they offered us stimulants, keep him awake during the day. That was it. There was no support groups. There was no reach out if you have any questions. There was no connect with this group, nothing. It was totally independent.
And how often were they seeing him at that point?
About every 3 to 4 months, maybe.
Wow. And still just that conversation. And when you go in and you'd come back like 4 months later, what type of things would they ask him?
How have you been feeling? How are you sleeping? How many hours a day do you sleep? Do you still fall asleep on the ATV? What side effects are you having from the medication? And that was the big thing, was the medication. He was on 3 different types of stimulants and had side effects with each one, different side effects, but still nonetheless.
Can you share with us?
The first one he was on was modafinil,
Mm-hmm.
and he had side effects in, I guess, mental side effects. He said at 8 years old, was able to identify that he had a good part of his brain and a bad part of the brain, and the bad side was taking over.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it got off that real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Then he was on Concerta.
Oh, yeah.
And
And on both of these?
yeah, Concerta, he became aggressive and not like him at all. He's not aggressive. He slapped one of his friends in the face for no reason. And he said himself, he's like, I don't know why I did it. I don't know. So came off that. Then lastly, he was on Vyvanse and he was doing well in the sense of mental health wise. However, he had no appetite to the point where he lost so much weight, they were concerned. So they said, we have to come off the Vyvanse. And in fairness, Lucas doesn't like the way they make him feel. You know, it causes racing heart. And he would oftentimes hide his pills around the house.
Oh, wow.
And we would explain to him, like, it's dangerous. If you don't take it, it's going to be more detrimental. We said to doctor, like, he needs to come off this. So with the doctor's approval, we are now off all of meds. There is significant improvement in his behavior, which is great, but he is certainly more tired. I would say a little bit more forgetful. Makes sense. He does get a little bit more moody as he is more tired.
That's part of the course.
Exactly. They have briefly mentioned weight kicks.
That's what I'm on now.
Yeah. So I know they've said it's an antihistamine instead of a stimulant.
Yes. You won't get the racing heart thing.
That's right. I don't know how Lucas feels because clearly, as he told you, he's not interested because for the last 3 times he's had bad experience. So we'll have to see. I'm not a huge pill pusher. I know he does need something, but I think probably what's frustrating is the doctors that we see are lovely. They're very nice doctors, but they really, truly do not understand pediatric narcolepsy at all or any side effects. In my opinion, as his mom, they should have said to us at some point, would you like to see a genetics counselor? Because this is genetics neurological disorder. I've never been offered one. When I asked if we could see a pediatric neurologist, they said no, they don't see them until after puberty.
that would be pointless because they won't be pediatrics anymore to need one.
And all the research that I've been doing and all the other peer support groups I've been going to, a lot of kids like Lucas have precocious puberty, right? That doesn't even get talked about. Or like our restorative sleep, that hasn't even been talked about with our doctors because I don't know if it's something they don't believe here in Canada. I don't know if it's something they don't treat here in Canada.
That's the whole point of them developing Xyrem, was saying, let's not focus so much on pumping people with stimulants to try to force them to stay awake. Why don't we focus on the real problem? The problem is that they're not sleeping at night. Maybe if we can just get them to get some restorative sleep at night, we won't have to pump them with pills in the day. Just getting the restorative sleep at night would be enough to drag them through the day.
So that's the first one I heard about was Xyrem and Xywav. And I guess because there's sodium oxybate in it, which is a date rape drug and it suppresses your breathing.
Yes.
We won't give it to Lucas because of his severe asthma and sleep apnea.
Yeah. I know, because it took me a long time to get on it. I'm only on it now because there was nothing else. There was no other drug left that I hadn't taken. And cataplexy was so bad, I was falling down on London streets so much that they had to do something. It got to the point where my sisters were like, Kelly, what are we going to have to do? Wrap you in bubble wrap before you go outside? I was just having so many falls.
Did you find that that your symptoms became more intense as you got older?
Yes.
Okay.
I do have 5 sleeping disorders, so that doesn't help. I started with narcolepsy only. Then I got sleep apnea and restless leg together. And then when I went from my 20s into my 30s, I finally got rid of restless leg. Because really, if your ferritin levels are above 75, you can get rid of your restless legs. And I managed to do that. And so restless leg went, but it's back now in my 40s. But after my 20s, I didn't have it anymore. I had got my levels up so high that restless leg went away. So I always say to people, it's the one sleeping disorder that you can cure. Restless leg can be cured. But GPs, general practitioners, don't seem to care about that. Because I just went to the doctor the other day, yesterday, and he was reading my blood test. And I said to him, my ferritin levels are not high enough. He goes, oh, it's at 46. That's okay. That's normal. I said, yes, 46 is normal for someone who doesn't have sleeping disorders. But I do. I have 5 and I don't want to have restless leg anymore. Why should I have a disorder that is curable? All I need is to pump my serotonin levels up to 75 and it will go away. Let us work on that. He's like, it's not so simple as that. All your other bloods and your iron is looking well. Everything is looking healthy. I was like, it doesn't matter what the bloods are saying. The body is saying we need more ferritin. Oh, otherwise we're going to keep the restless leg. So let us work on getting the ferritin on.
That's funny that you should say that because with Lucas, he has anemia, iron deficiency anemia. He has since he was 18 months old. His hematocrit is low, his ferritin is low, his iron is low. But because he isn't falling over, they don't look at it. But having low iron mimics his narcolepsy.
Yes, exactly. So he's having double.
Exactly.
It's like he's having 2 sleeping disorders because of how low his iron is. It's like he's having narcolepsy times 2. So it's double the tired of someone who has moderate narcolepsy. He's having severe narcolepsy because his iron is so low.
We recently asked our pediatrician, can we do something for the iron? This is ridiculous. And she's like, it's just a little low. It's fine.
Oh, come on. What about iron infusions and stuff like that? There must be something to pump.
They don't even talk about it. Nothing.
Wow.
Yeah. And I've been talking to some pediatric nurses in the United States, and that's what they said. The first thing, they were like, why is this kid not getting iron injections? How is he functioning?
Yes. How is he functioning?
Right? To him, this is normal. Here in Canada, and I don't know if this is across the globe, this is a horrible thing to say, but I really feel our healthcare system has changed so drastically that unless you are, God forbid, dying of cancer or have a terminal illness and you're, on your way out, or you have autism, you do not matter. It's really hard because the 2 prominent things here that really gets attention.
Yeah. So if you have that, they're going to bend over backwards to help. But
oh, absolutely.
So you've got something in between. Oh, no.
100%. Because even his school, so his teachers, touch wood, have been amazing there. But our hospital, Sick Children's Hospital, gave us a very intense booklet about narcolepsy. It sits in the office. Nobody's ever read it. So they understand that Lucas is tired. They understand that it's not his fault, but that doesn't tell anybody really what the whole narcolepsy piece is.
Yeah.
If a supply comes in, they don't see the narcolepsy document. So they just think Lucas is that kid that, you didn't get bed early enough.
Yeah.
Right?
He's lazy. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of advocacy and awareness needs to be spread throughout.
Yeah, 100%. So who supports you, Kathy?
I'm working on that one.
God supports you.
Honestly, there is no support groups here. And there is online, and online are great, but sometimes it's really nice to have that person to sit with and have tea or coffee with.
Yes, 100%.
I have said many times, and I will say it again, Lucas looks like every other person with narcolepsy, looks perfectly healthy. But when I say that my son is very complex and I've gone to multiple hospitals and I'm exhausted and I just want to throw my hands up and give up, everybody's like, oh, why? What's your problem? There's nothing wrong.
I hate that. I love Rachel Nesbitt, and she always talks about Sleepy American Hero, and she talks about having an empathizer, where if this was a cartoon, she would touch the other person, and for a few minutes, they could feel what she's feeling in her body, because it's just like, you're looking at me and you're judging me, but come live with me for 3 days, okay? And you would really understand what's going on. You've seen me for an hour outside, 2 hours. That's nothing. Even if it's every week for 2 hours, you see me. There's nothing. Come live with me for 3 days. Come live with me for a week. You start to really understand what this illness actually is doing to us as a family.
As a family, I would say that we still have a lot to learn about how to help with Lucas's narcolepsy or how to treat his narcolepsy, because oftentimes we go out and I'm sure Lucas does still need a nap and we'll be out all day, so he doesn't get it. I think we really as a family need to stop and say like, hey, we need to kind of schedule things so that it's appropriate for him to take a nap, whether it be in a car or whether it be somewhere that he can at least rest.
Yeah, I think you can do that where you say, okay, we've gone out. If we went to the mall, I don't know, or wherever you went, but then instead of maybe walking for 4 hours, let's only do 2. And then it's inconvenient, but it has to be done. We'll split it in half. We'll go back to the car. He sleeps for an hour and then he feels a bit more refreshed and then we continue the day.
Exactly. It's no different than when, you have that baby home for the first year. Really?
Yeah, just like that.
Right?
If you had a toddler, you wouldn't be able to drag them around all day. You'd have to. Yeah.
Absolutely. Been reading, like you were saying to Lucas, a lot of people don't take medication. They just use lifestyle changes. So what I've recently been learning is that sugar acts as a trigger to put people to sleep. Spikes your carbohydrates and your insulin and everything. So trying to be more mindful of how much sugar we eat and how much carbohydrates we eat.
Yeah.
But I want to put an 11-year-old on a diet, but be more aware of what we're eating.
Yeah. Or just also say I had a hospital appointment. I mean, I have breakfast before I go because I know as soon as I have breakfast, I need to have that nap. So if I want to make the appointment, I can't have it until after I come back from the appointment. It's just like things like that. So I'll take a little box of smoothie with me and keep it in my bag. And so then I have herbal tea before I leave so you don't have stomach cramps because I have to take my medication. But then after I reach my appointment and I've traveled on the train and everything like that, then I know, okay, I'm coming back home and I'm close to home. I can, have that juice or have that sandwich in your bag and have that sandwich then because I know I'll be getting home soon and I'll be in that safe place where I can have that nap.
Absolutely. Even as a parent, I think Lucas is going to teach me a lot more about narcolepsy over the next coming years for sure.
Because it's definitely going to change. That's the thing about having it when you're a child. I always say that narcolepsy goes in waves. Things I'm doing now in the last 2 years or whatever, there's times in my 20s when I was waking up at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. If anyone was telling me that I could be doing a podcast, I would have laughed in their face. This is not physically possible. Like, no. When I was just diagnosed, I remember going to concerts, standing up for 1 hour as a teenager, standing up the whole hour before you get into the concert, and then standing for the 3-hour concert, and then getting a lift back with a friend. And now I think, oh my God, how did I do that? That's crazy. And I'm probably wearing heels and stuff like that. That's absolutely insane. Now, as soon as I get to a concert, I'm like in the disability line, and with my carer, and I'm thinking, thank God the disability line is fast. How soon can we get inside and get to the seat so I can sit down? There's no way I can stand for an hour outside just waiting to get in and then stand for the concert. If the concert requires standing, I cannot go. It doesn't matter who it was. Even if it was Michael Jackson, I could not go to the concert. I just have to hold because I need to be seated.
Yeah. So that's another thing. I don't know if it's narcolepsy. We're still very much learning everything. But Lucas gets a lot of pain in his backs and his legs. Right. And he'll often say, I need to sit down and my back is killing me. And he's not a big kid. So we're always saying to him, like, what's the matter? And they've been telling us since he was 5 that it was growing pain. I think think there's a little bit more to it than growing pains.
Yes.
Like, a physiotherapist, and they said it's musculoskeletal, but I don't know if it's narcolepsy related.
It might be because I've been having that for mine started about 3 years ago. It used to happen a lot as a woman, when you're on your period, it used to happen a lot then. And then also like every 5 months, every 3 to 5 months, I'd have it for like 2 days where my whole body would pain and ache. All my muscles, all my bones would be hurting, as if I was about, when you're about to have like a really, really bad flu, like your whole body's about to shut down and you're going to be stuck in bed for days. It feels like that, but you know that you're not sick. Like you're not blowing your nose, there's no fever, there's nothing. And it used to last for about 2 days and then it would go away. And then I'd have it 4 or 5 months later, it would happen again. And then this year, this started in January and it just switched itself. And 4 out of the 7 days of the week, I'm feeling this pain all day long.
Oh, wow.
And I've done tests. I've just done immunology tests and everything because I went online to the narcolepsy group community. I was asking them because when it was happening before, I talked to other people about it, and other people with narcolepsy were saying, yes, they also feel pain. So then I didn't say anything to the doctors because I thought, okay, this is just a part of narcolepsy, it's just something that's not documented in any paperwork or stuff like that. But everybody else, this is happening to them. So it's nothing to say anything to any doctor about. But now that it's happening almost all week, I just couldn't take it anymore. And so quite a few of the ladies on the groups, they said to me, oh, you need to go and have some tests done just to check if you've got some immunology problem like lupus or fibromyalgia or something like that. It might be, just go and check. One of the ladies, her partner's a doctor, so she sent me a list of tests that I should ask for. And I asked the doctor for that, and the doctor says to me, who told you about these tests? And so I laughed because I thought, you don't know anything about me. You don't know my family. You don't know if my dad's a doctor. You don't know if my aunt is a nurse or anything. Like, you don't know. So, this is a weird thing to ask me. What's also funny is that I'd been talking to ChatGPT about my pains. I use it as my little therapist.
Me too.
And so what I love about ChatGPT is that it remembers everything. So when I told it that I was having all these pains and someone suggested these things, these tests, what do you think about it? And it said to me, yes, Kelly, actually, these are very good tests to do for the symptoms we've been talking about for the last 4 months. I think that these would give you some answers. Would you like me to draft you a letter to send to the GP to explain what your symptoms are that we've been discussing for the last 4 months and why you should be given these tests? And they did. It drafted me a letter and I sent it in. I got the results, and then the results came back negative. And so I said to the ChatGPT, so now it's negative. And what do we do? So that's why I went back to the doctors yesterday. And he was like, oh, I have to refer you back to rheumatology because there's no other test left to do. Right. And I said to him, okay, then you do that, because whether there's no other test left to do for you, that's fine. But the fact is I'm still in pain. So something is wrong. It doesn't matter what the test is saying, everything is fine in my body, but I am still in pain. So something is wrong. And then when I asked ChatGPT what it could be, took a picture of my results and I put it into the ChatGPT, and it said, with everything that we're talking about, the only thing that's left that could be wrong with you is that you have chronic fatigue, mild fibromyalgia, or narcolepsy is causing this. And I had to laugh. And so I said to it, why would you think narcolepsy could be causing this? And it goes, yeah, I've done some research. I've got some papers that were done in 2018 and 2019 and 2021 of doctors having patients have told them that they were having these pains. They've tested them for immunology diseases. It's come back negative, but too many people have been complaining who have been tested negative and are still having these muscular pains. So there must be some correlation between narcolepsy and these things. It doesn't make any other sense. If their bloods are not having an immunology response, what is causing it?
So I find that very interesting, because here I asked for Lucas to be tested for immunology because he was awfully young to have a lot of back pain and leg pain and stuff. And he would complain just from walking that his feet hurt and his legs. They did an ANA test, and it came back that his ANA is abnormal and that he's got a speckled this and a speckled that. And anyways, it's all wrong. It's all concerning. And when I asked the pediatrician just a few weeks ago, I said, well, what about between this and his iron and everything else? She says, I don't even understand when I did those tests. She said, there's no symptoms for it. She's like, it's nothing. That's nothing to worry about. It can be brought on by any.
Wow.
Yeah. So there's proof in the blood work, but it's only blood work. Why even bother listening to it?
Wow. How can you deny bloods?
I know.
My God, it's the one thing in the world you can't make up.
So let me just very quickly read something to you. Lucas was recently actually in the hospital because he was taken from school with chest pain, dizziness, and shortness of breath. And when we got there, the doctor in the emerge had absolutely no indication of what narcolepsy was. He's just like, oh, well, I can probably give you something for a sleep aid, but he said it's not for children. So that gives you an idea.
Yeah, so obviously we don't want to take it if it's not for children.
But what I find interesting, so on the emergency room department, so on Lucas's medical history, it says that he has the following issues: severe asthma, sleep apnea, tachycardia, anemia, narcolepsy type 1, iron deficiency, migraine, an enlarged tongue, pedemia, astigmatism, a history of hypertriglyceridemia, and that's it. Okay. So over 12 different diagnoses I've just given you.
Mm-hmm.
When I went to the pediatrician and said to her, this is all the things with my son, these are the symptoms, she said, yeah, but I really only believe that he has asthma, narcolepsy, and iron deficiency.
Wow. So the other things are just made up.
Pretty much. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All the other doctors were wrong and they just made them up for fun.
Yeah. So,
which is crazy because for me, I would be thinking, interesting that a child this young is having all of these things. Maybe they're interconnected and there's one thing that's triggering a lot of these things.
Everybody has a specialty. There's a sleep specialist, there's a foot specialist, there's a brain doctor who looks at the child as a holistic whole child.
Yes.
And the pediatrician says, well, that's my job. In the same appointment, she says, I'm not really sure about the narcolepsy piece, so you're going to have to ask the sleep specialist.
But her job is to look at the whole picture.
So how do you look at the whole picture without knowing anything about different
things?
Right? Like, isn't that her job?
Or even to talk to the specialist to try to get a better understanding of the topic that you don't understand so that you could put the pieces together and say, okay, these are all the symptoms that the child is having. Why is the child having all these so separate situations going on? Let's get together as different specialists and figure out a holistic approach.
And I think, to be honest, because Lucas walks into their office and he can breathe well on his own and he can speak on his own, there's no issue. People, like a lot of other countries around the world, narcolepsy or any of those invisible diagnoses, you look fine. So you must be doing well. You're fine.
Yeah, it's so sad, Kathy, but the other day I spoke at Women's International Day in the library. And one of the ladies that also was there was someone who has lupus. And in one of the workshops, she said that the doctor said to her, I know your history because I've been your doctor for a very long time. And I know that you're in severe pain right now with the 2 different types of lupus. And you're in severe pain and you're very unwell. But you walked into this office dressed nicely, hair fixed nicely. You obviously had a shower. You smell fine and whatever. You don't look like how I know you physically feel. I want you to go to the hospital, but I want you to go and look like you feel. I want you to go and look like you're dying. And I think that's so sad that you're being judged because you had a shower, you put normal clothes on, you put some perfume on. The thing is about invisible disability, you feel crappy most of the time. So sometimes you just want to pretend to look normal. Like I used to say to people when I go to church, if you see me and I'm like full makeup and everything, you should know I'm having probably the crappiest day in the world. That is the reason why I took the time to put the makeup on and everything like that, because I want to give the facade that everything is like my whole world is not falling apart. Otherwise, I wouldn't even bother to leave the house.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be that I have to say, okay, I should just look how I feel. I feel like crap. I'm not going to bother with the makeup. I'm not going to bother with my clothes to match. I'm just going to come out looking the crappiest ever so that people really can understand how I'm feeling. I don't think that we should be jeopardized and people should judge us for that. It's really sad.
I have so many ideas to try and raise narcolepsy awareness. But I know even putting it on social media, I get frustrated because you don't get the engagement that you do for other well-known things. You know, I would love to be able to do, I don't know what you'd call it, but do like a stay awake marathon. Mm-hmm. Everybody has to try and stay awake for even 24 to 48 hours. I don't know what it would be. And we raise money to see what it feels like Lucas, who has narcolepsy.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. Someone else I know Fiona in Australia, when I went to see her last year, she told me about a similar thing that she wants to do, doing exactly that.
Yeah, because I mean, I've told the people that we are close to, I've said to them, try staying awake for 72 hours, 3 days straight, no sleep. And if you do get any sleep, it's very broken. And see how you look and how you function. You're going to be miserable. You're going to not be fun to be around. You're going to be exhausted. You're going to be tired. You're going to feel sluggish. It's just not going to be pleasant.
Yeah. And yet you expect Lucas to be pleasant, feeling like that every single day.
Exactly. And then I said to the doctor, I said, if we didn't sleep for 3 days and then somebody handed us a Red Bull, we would drink it. She goes, yeah. I said, okay, well, Red Bull is no different than the stimulant you're handing him.
Yeah.
I said, you're giving him a stimulant. You're giving us Red Bull and you wouldn't give work because you wouldn't want us to have a heart attack. Well, what's the difference? I have a lot of mixed opinions about different medications and narcolepsy and stuff.
It's totally understandable. You have to look out for your kid.
Absolutely. And I think this states, from what I've seen, they seem to have a better maybe understanding, or some doctors have a better understanding of pediatric narcolepsy than others. But unfortunately, going to the States or going anywhere right now with everything in turmoil, it's a little difficult.
Yeah, of course. And it would be good for you to be able to have it in your own country, that you don't have to go to another country to get help.
It would be very nice, especially the support group. Even for Lucas, we went to the FACES, which is Families and Children Experiencing Symptoms conference a couple of years ago. And Lucas said that he found it so helpful just connecting with other kids his age and a bit older that had naps and that took medication and that truly got it. Like, hey guys, we're having fun, but I got to go lay down. I'm tired now. Like, hey mom, they're on medicine. They're just like me, mom.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if we can have just a handful of kids get together here in Canada, I would fly them across the country. I don't care.
Yeah. And it makes such a difference when you have that personal experience. It makes such a difference.
Yeah, I totally agree. It really does, I think, for sure. Even adults. Like, I know we were talking at a business meeting that I was in not too long ago, and I quickly mentioned that we are trying to raise narcolepsy awareness here in the community for my son. And another adult, a little rudely, I don't think he meant it to be rude, but he's like, oh yeah, I'm falling asleep already.
Oh.
And I'm like, really? That's exactly why you need to be educated.
It's actually, this is the reason why we need it.
Yeah, exactly.
Case in point.
Yeah. So yeah, I would love to see things happen around the world, but I know for sure here in Canada as well.
Yeah, I would like to see that too. And that is why I have started Naps for Life. And with God's help and him opening doors, we're going to get there, Kathy.
We are absolutely.
Little bit by little bit, we're going to get there.
Right. And it's just having conversations. Like, really, the more you talk to people, they might know somebody, or they might not know exactly somebody with narcolepsy, but they'll say, hey, maybe that's what my sister has, or that's what my so-and-so has. And you start that conversation.
Yeah, 100%. When I interviewed Laura and Toast, the narcoleptic dog, the mom that's looking after him, and she was saying she would love to do like a meetup where kids would get to meet Toast. I said, that would be brilliant. That would be such a good thing to have a meet out with kids. They get to meet other kids and they get to meet Toast, the narcoleptic dog, who's going through the same thing that they're going through.
That would be so cool.
Yeah.
And where is she from?
I can't remember the state she's in now. I have to check back. But yeah, she's in the States.
Okay. I will give the States, they have amazing programs for narcolepsy, for supports and for the kids.
Yeah.
And I was looking into camps here in Canada for the kids. And there's a lot of camps that they can go to, but I feel like sometimes they might need a nurse or a doctor or somebody that's on staff that knows. As soon as you put them into a camp like that, they're now categorized with the children that are maybe quadriplegic or that are in a wheelchair and they're nonverbal, and they're not that medically necessary, but that's hopefully.
Yeah.
Trying to find that happy balance.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
So, Kathy, what's your last statement that you'd like to leave to other parents or to doctors out there?
Oh, well, two totally different messages.
Yeah.
So for the parents, I would say no matter how hard you fight, keep fighting for your child. There's going to be days when you just want to throw your hands up and just give up everything. And you just want to cry your eyes out, and nobody will understand what you do, and nobody will ever do as good a job as you. Sorry.
That's okay, Kathy. Let it out, darling.
You know your kid more than anybody, more than the doctors, more than the nurses, more than anybody. You know your kid. And at the end of the day, you have to take that child home. So you make sure that you have, in your mind, done everything that you possibly can to get the best care for them. And to the doctors, I would say, thank you for going into medicine, but keep in mind, just because you graduated with an MD does not mean that you know everything. That parents absolutely know their children. Do not dismiss them when they come into your office. And just because a child or a patient looks quote unquote normal or healthy doesn't mean that they are.
Mm-hmm.
Don't believe a textbook, believe the patient.
Yes.
That's what I would say.
Yes. I love that. Kathy, can you ask Lucas to come back for the one last question?
Yes, of course. Lucas, can you come here for just 1 sec? We just got one question to ask you. He's been helping me around the house today. It's raining here, yucky and raining.
Hi, Lucas. Welcome back.
Hi.
Okay, the last question is, if there was a red button and you could press it to get rid of narcolepsy, would you press it and why?
Yes.
You would press it and why?
Because I don't want to be tired anymore.
Thank you for coming on to Narcolepsy Navigators. Thank you for sharing your story. And I hope you help other children that are listening to know that it's okay to share their story and that sharing your story helps others.
You're welcome.
We're going to end by saying happy napping, everyone.
Happy napping, everyone.
Views and opinions in these stories may not work for everyone. If anything you have heard is relatable, please see a doctor for advice. Narcolepsy Navigators is produced by a team of volunteers working for the Naps for Life CIC, which is a non-profit group dedicated to improving the lives of people with sleep disorders through community action. You can help grow our podcast and join our sleep disorder support group by visiting the website www.napsforlife.com. If you or someone you know has a sleep disorder and would like to share your story on Narcolepsy Navigators, please email us at narcolepsynavigators@gmail.com. You can also support us by donating at the website. Happy napping, everyone.